Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 1 isn't just my favourite Final Fantasy of all time, it is my favourite video game of all time. And in today's video, I am sharing with you my top 10 moments from Final Fantasy VII. I am hoping you can join me for this one, and I welcome your comments on your top moments of Final Fantasy VII. I am pulling these moments from how it made me feel when I first played through it back in 1997, and I'm blending in some of the moments that had more of an impact or maybe shuffled the list a little bit in my recent playthrough. So expect some predictable moments, some out there moments, and a good time. So with that all being said, what is up guys, Jen here, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Got you covered with timestamps down below, so if you want to skip to a certain moment, feel free to do so, though I hope you can join me for all of this. It's down below nonetheless. All I ask is you to support the channel and hit the thumbs up button. So let's get straight into my top 10 moments of Final Fantasy VII. So for a majority of the beginning of the game, especially through the Midgar portion, you spend your time on foot, traversing the various maps of Midgar. It is then when it's time to escape the Shinra building that things change just a little bit. You steal, or maybe borrow, the motorbike in the Shinra building and you escape, playing what we know as the G-Bike minigame. Now, for the first time I witnessed this, I was like, what is going on here? Because I did not expect to be riding around on a motorcycle. Not only that, but I get to slash the Buster Sword left and right, dismissing Shinra soldiers as they try and attack me and the party. This was an awesome moment when I first played Final Fantasy VII, and it is just as good when I played it recently. There are many characters of Final Fantasy VII, each with its own arc as you go through the game. But there is one character and a scene in particular that hit me when I was young, and it still hits me today. And that is when you venture to Cosmo Canyon with Red 13 and you go to the cave of the G and you find out that his father, Seto, was not the coward that Red 13 thought he once was. He was the warrior of Cosmo Canyon and sacrificed himself so the rest could live happily. This really is an incredible scene, accompanied with a great rendition of the Cosmo Canyon theme. And when it pans up to the statue and you see that tear run down, you know that Seto is listening and is proud of what Red 13 has become. Now, I bet you didn't think this would be so far up the list, but number 8 of my top moments of Final Fantasy VII is the ending, the climactic finish to the game, or so we thought, because there was games that came after it. But just looking through the lens of just Final Fantasy VII, we had defeated Sephiroth, Meteor was hitting the planet, Holy just wasn't enough. And the thing that gets me the most about this scene in particular is when the live stream saves the planet. The music that plays is beautiful. It really makes the ending for me. And you can't forget, as Cloud and the party are watching from the high wind, and the way the live stream is fending off Meteor and saving the planet, and then ending with Aerith looking up, knowing that she had a part to play in this. It was beautiful. For a majority of Final Fantasy VII, we are in pursuit of Sephiroth as we go through the Temple of the Ancients, go to the Forgotten Capital, and then go to the Northern Crater and hand Sephiroth the Black Materia. We have a new threat that's supposed to be protectors of the planet, and that is the weapons. As they awaken from the North Crater, as they shoot out, as they glide past the high wind, we soon see that we have new threats to tackle in the world of Final Fantasy VII, and this cutscene does it justice, and it's pretty damn epic. Now this one, for me in particular, is all about the music. We have headed into the North Crater, we have defeated the last iteration of Jenova, and we are face to face with Sephiroth. And then we see one of his true forms, Bizarro Sephiroth, and the music that plays sets the scene. Me personally, I prefer A Birth of a God over One Winged Angel, but that is a discussion for another time. But when this plays and we are seeing the true nature of Sephiroth and what he has become, it is pretty damn cool. For this moment, I want to take you back, playing Final Fantasy VII for the first time, not knowing what world I was getting into. All I was going off the logo at the front, which was rather plain here in the UK, and the three little CG screenshots and a gameplay screenshot of what to expect. So when I put in disc 1 of Final Fantasy VII and the intro played, showing me what I thought was the scope of the game, I was in awe. This massive city with life running through it, with reactors circling it. Seeing Midgar for the first time in that intro was amazing. And not only that, the smoothest of transitions to the reactor bombing mission, with the smooth cuts of the train going and then eventually blending into the pre-rendered background, and your journey with Final Fantasy VII begins. Now this one should not be a surprise. There are many iterations, but I remember playing through the Nibelheim flashback for the first time. The scene in particular of what made this top moment we'll get to in a second. But up to this moment, we recently discovered that Sephiroth was the threat, but we also know that he used to be a good guy. So this storytelling through Cloud's eyes of who Sephiroth is and what went wrong was really intense. Now, it started off all buddy-buddy, and then Sephiroth slowly started to learn about his history and the Jenova project, and then that scene plays where you run out of the Shinra Manor, and then it is on fire. You see Sephiroth in the distance, it switches over to a CG cutscene, and you can see the dead look in his eyes. You knew this was the bad guy, and he walks off into the flames. It is epic just thinking about it, talking about it again, but witnessing it for the first time, I was like, uh-oh, this guy means business. And it was a truly cool moment for me in Final Fantasy VII. Now, I don't think in my gaming journey up to this point I had experienced death. Maybe I've lost a few lives here or there in Sonic or Crash Bandicoot or Spyro the Dragon, but not someone that I invested time in and really got to know throughout the game. Aerith's death is a pivotal part of Final Fantasy VII, and it is the most well-known moment. Even though it might be not number one for me here, it is definitely one that I remember and will always know Final Fantasy VII for, and the impact that it had on me. Not only that, when the death occurs, we go straight into a boss battle, and it doesn't play the typical boss battle theme. It carries on with aeris theme, and that adds so much to that moment. And just trying to deal with it for the first time was incredible, dealing with that death and being caught off guard with it, but then having to battle without her and her music playing in the background. Oh, I can say no more. It was truly a moment to remember. Now, going back to my top 10 moment, I talked about escaping Midgar. We had spent most of the game up to this point in Midgar, these very linear kind of pre-rendered backgrounds with only one direction to go and no 3D plane of space to control. That all changed once we exited Midgar, and with the theme of Final Fantasy playing for the first time and just messing with the shoulder buttons, having a look at the world I am about to explore, experiencing that for the first time was amazing. I did not know the scope of the game. I thought it was going to be pre-rendered background after pre-rendered background, but then I'm in control. I can choose where I go. I could go to Calm and do the Nibelheim flashback. I could go to the Chocobo farm and get a Chocobo. I could try and take on the Midgar Zolom, and this theme continued on the world map, being able to choose what I want to do next. And what an incredible time that was. It may be no surprise that this is my top moment of Final Fantasy VII, but if you had asked younger version of me, it may not have been. But with me being where I am right now and my recent playthrough, the live stream sequence between Cloud and Tifa is my top moment. After Cloud has started to lose his identity, doesn't know what he is he a puppet? Did he lie? Does he really exist? And then discovering through the live stream who he is was something special. We find out that his story on the Nibelheim flashback was fabricated from what he had heard from his friend Zack Fair. But he was there for the entire thing, and he watched out for Tifa and kept his promise to the best of his ability. And just Cloud coming full circle and being whole again. What a moment, right? After I had lost faith in Cloud through the story of Final Fantasy VII, this sequence brought it all back, and I was happy to have him lead the party to defeat Sephiroth and beat Final Fantasy VII. And that, as they say, is that. They are my top 10 moments of Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII is such an incredible game. Going back to it recently and playing it again was no different, and I will probably go back and play it again and again and again and again, to as many times as I would like to do so. And maybe those top 10s may change through those playthroughs, but I'm interested to know if you agree with those top 10 moments. Do you have moments that I had mentioned that you don't agree with? Are there moments I didn't mention? Very interested to know. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the content, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell so you are notified of that content, hit the thumbs up button and support the channel, and as always, get involved in that comment section down below. And until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.